What's going on, folks? Welcome back to a brand new Benzinga live stream. I'm your host, Ryan. You might remember me from a while back when I used to do shows on this stream. I'm back. So I wanted to start a new show. I reached out to the Benzinga family and I said, hey, I want to do a show called Stock Market Prep where I create this cool little show really quickly, getting people prepared for the upcoming week, discussing market events that are happening, going over some charts that you guys would want to put into the chat where I come and discuss with you guys. And then we do some discussion on some overall things. Excuse my voice and demeanor a little bit. I'm still a little bit under the weather, but I said I wanted to make sure that we get and do this first show because we worked so hard on it to make it happen. So I wanted to make sure that we can do this. So as always, I appreciate you guys all watching. Appreciate you all being here. If you guys could do me a solid, smash that like button. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the stream. Share this with people who could watch it and want to be a part of it. That would mean a lot to me. There's some cool little animations here. And throughout the stream, if you want, you can always put in the chat what you'd like to see, what stocks you want charted, what you want to see, what you want to see go down. And I can definitely try my best to make that happen for you and go over those charts. And that's all that is for now. And we're going to start first things first. Every single show, we're going to discuss some of the upcoming market events. So I pulled out some of the most important market events. I threw them on a quick little graphic here on my Twitter channel, on my Twitter. If you want, you can follow me on Twitter. My link is in the description of this video. If you want to join there, you can follow me there. So the later in the week events is where things get like, later in the week is when things get a little bit more exciting, right? So you see all the market events that are happening here. You've got the 2-year note auction tomorrow at 1 p.m. That could cause some turbulence if numbers are wild, right? Tuesday, you don't have much happening. You got Fed bars testimony happening. That could cause some waves if there's new stuff that's occurring, but it's not going to be something, hopefully not something crazy that moves markets wildly, right? But that's at 10 a.m. and that'll probably go on for 2 to 3 hours. That's how these testimonies tend to go on for a little bit there. He's also testifying again. Barr is also testifying on the 29th as well. As you know, these happened twice before 2 committees. So that'll be a 2-day situation, just like when we saw Jerome Powell testify a few weeks back. The similar situation here happening. Probably a lot of discussion about the banks and such. You have the 7-year note auction, some crude oil. So this will probably be affecting the oil markets. If you're in the oil markets and are interested in the oil markets, that'll be happening there. So for the most important stuff, again, I moved into this infographic that I posted on my Twitter. I want to discuss with you because these are the most important events that are happening and they're at the tail end of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you have some micro events, but they're not huge. But this is what really is going to be moving the markets in the next couple of days. Towards the end of the week on Thursday and Friday. Again, forgive me for my voice. Forgive me. I'm a little bit under the weather, but but I want to still make sure to make these things happen. And I appreciate you guys in the chat. I see you, Milky Fade, Negan. What's up, guys? Yeah, drop those tickers in there when we get to the point of the tickers part of the show, aka the stocks. We'll start charting those stocks together and discussing. As soon as we get through this, I want to do some SPY analysis. So I do events, some SPY analysis, and then we'll go into the charts and we'll just start discussing and having fun there because I think this is the format that I want to try for this one. So this is going to be really important is the Q4 GDP number. This is the final print. So as you know, we get 2 preliminary prints for GDP each quarter and then the final print for Q4. It's set to come in lower than the previous print had printed for Q3, coming at 2.7, rounding out the year. So that's going to be affecting the markets definitely, especially if this comes in lower. That's not good. If it comes in line, it's okay. If it comes higher, it's really good. So that's going to be there. Next is, of course, at 8:30 again, also at 8:30, so they both happened at the same exact time, is initial jobless claims. We know that the Fed has been gung-ho on wanting to soften the labor markets. They've been talking about this. They've been discussing it. We want a softer labor market, which means a higher initial jobless claims is needed there. Unfortunately, they want more people. They want to create demand destruction via higher unemployment. So with that being said, you want this number to come in line or higher for it to be considered good, because bad news is good news and good news is bad news here. I know it's really confusing, but that's just kind of how the markets are operating right now. When it comes to the labor markets, you want a softer labor market because that will push the Fed to pause in this. And we know that based off of last week's rate hike, the Fed is looking to do another 25 basis point rate hike to get us to that terminal rate of 5.1, which is really 5.25. So that's that. Maybe at a different stream or a different time, we'll discuss that and we'll come back to it later. And again, the stuff that you guys post in the chat, this is meant to be a conversational stream. It's not meant to be like a show. How I like to do my streams here on this channel is I like to make it a conversation. So if you could post questions, you could post ideas that you have, you could post thoughts that you have, and we could discuss them together here. And I can try my best to help you. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just here for educational purposes only. Everything's meant to be just educational examples to kind of help you guys out and to have an open discussion. The thing that will make probably the most amount of waves, as we saw last time, is Yellen, Treasury Secretary Yellen speaking. This is further more discussion about the banks. And what she's been kind of flip-flopping on what she's been saying and what she's been confirming or not. So it's going to be interesting to see how she reacts and how she says anything, right? So we're going to have to see if she's in line, and she's like all the banks are the same, or certain banks are worth more to her. We'll see. The Federal Reserve's balance is also going to be interesting to see as well there, to see if, with everything going on with the banks, if it's adjusted or not. So that's going to be that. Again, this is what's the most important thing. The Fed has been discussing inflation for over a year now, right? We've been talking about rate hikes. We've been through a ton of rate hikes now. We've been through 500 basis points of hikes here. And we can see that one of the biggest factors, we've seen it on their table of projection materials, they discussed it last week as well, is PCE. PCE is the Fed's measure of inflation. We look at CPI, the Fed looks at CPI as well, but PCE is also their measure of inflation, the core as well as the regular. So PCE price index is set to come in at the end of this week. It's very interesting because this happened very similarly last time. The Fed had their rate hike, and then a week later, PCE data came out. You think they time it a little bit better so that you get the PCE data, then they can decide, but that's beyond the point. Right now for core, it's set to come in flat year over year and a little bit lower for month over month, which is good. You want to see these numbers come in lower. You want them to come in lower. Core has been sticky for both CPI and PCE. So that's kind of what we're watching here, is to see, hopefully, if this number comes in lower, that'll be really good. But if these numbers come in higher, that's not good at all. PCE, there's no forecast for it yet. But again, for both of these, you want these to come in lower. If you're seeing core come in flat, most likely you might see PCE regular come in flat or maybe a hair lower, because a core is essentially, if you take some of the parts out of PCE, you're left with the core. We won't go into too much detail there. And then lastly is personal spending on Friday. It's set to come in significantly lower. This is a signal that people are not spending as much money. We're going into a recessionary environment. Markets are softening. And this is a signal to the Fed that, hey, maybe we've tightened enough. Maybe we've gone farther enough. If you see these spending numbers have been dropping significantly, if you've been watching these market events, and it's been kind of a little bit wild. So that's that being said in terms of market events. Next, we're going to discuss the S&P 500, and we're going to go there. So really quickly, let me take a look at the chat. Milky says, take a look at Chewy. We will. Microsoft XRP says we will. Beach Bum Trading says, good evening. What's up, Beach Bum? How you doing, buddy? Welcome to the stream. So I appreciate you all being here. If you guys could do me a solid again, hit that like button. It's really good for the algorithm as we're going live. If you're on Twitter, come on over to the YouTube. I can't see the chat from Twitter. I don't even think there is a chat on Twitter. So come on over to the YouTube channel and we'll discuss. Hello, Patrick. And we'll have some fun here together. I promise you the whole point of this is for me to provide you value. And I love doing this, hence why I came back and we brought the show back online. So looking at the parallel S&P 500, I like to use the Benzinga tool for my news and stuff. Again, it's not meant to be a promotion just because it's Benzinga. I genuinely use this for earnings and everything like that. From there on, Gene, I'm not sure what language that is, but okay. Patrick says you're cutting in and out. Audio's, let me just double check. Audio's cutting in and out. Let me turn it off and on. Give me 1 second, guys. Test 1 2, test 1 2. Can you guys hear me now? Test 1 2. Can you guys hear me? Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me better now? I speak. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dog Shorts. If you're having some audio issues, hit that refresh button. Sometimes on some of the live streams, it takes a second or two to get it. I see my buddy Nocturnal's here. Topher, Tassos, what's up, guys? Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for interacting and letting me know the audio is doing well. So here, going into the next week, looking at the S&P 500, really quickly, we're going to go super raw, naked chart here with just the 9 exponential, which is pink, the blue exponential, which is my 50, and then my green, which is my 200 simple moving average. If you know me, I know Taos knows me, Negan knows me, Nocturnal knows me. Some of you guys know me from our Discord trading team, which is meant to be like an academy for learning and trading. We'll discuss that later. I like to use, this is my personal setup. This is what I like to use. This is what I find beneficial. And this is kind of my bread and butter when it comes to these kind of things. What I like to focus on is this setup here. So I'm going to zoom in and we're going to take a look at what's been happening these past few days on the S&P. So let me go to the daily chart really quickly so we can see how it's been playing out on the daily. And you got to bear with me. This is my first time back streaming, so I need your help to bear with me. Um, So let's take a look. So we can see here that clearly right off the bat, we can see there's been a resistance line forming here that has been hitting and rejecting. This is our good old rate hike day, which markets fell off. The next day, we kind of popped up a little bit. And then on Friday, we sold up a little bit up. We melted up a little bit there. Um, I really don't see a reason why this happened, why the big move upwards happened, because there was no real news to incur this move up. Or the same thing with Thursday, no real news. We got a lot of bad news from FOMC and Jerome Powell being very hawkish. First off, he came out and said there's no rate cut this year. Now, of course, they can change their minds like they always do throughout this time period, and 6 months down the line come and say, hey, we want to cut rates. But I'm really surprised that the market didn't have more of a violent reaction to this statement that he made, and we held this support layer, this 200 simple moving average. The 200 simple moving average, if you look farther back earlier into the year and late into 2022, was a real pain in the neck. It was not playing ball with us. It was a huge resistance point and rejecting several times before we finally broke over it in early January. And now we've kind of built support here. We lost it for a few days, but then it was regained. And this is kind of the testing ground. This is the big thing here. So I'm going to turn on my lines here really quickly just so you can see what I'm seeing. Up top here, there's a gap. Don't worry about it. It's so far up, it's insignificant. I have my lines drawn here, but that's the hourly. So I'm going to take it to the hourly chart so we can kind of look at it, and I can share with you what I'm seeing on the hourly chart. Now, everyone draws their lines differently. Everyone does things differently. Everyone sees everything differently. Charting is an art form, some say. But this is what I'm seeing right here. So right here, I can see right off the bat, I have some support being built here, and the 9 and the 50 EMA are holding me at this point. If I lose these 2 points, I have a clean path to come and test this trend line here in the yellow, which is parallel to the 392, 393 range. If I lose that support line down there, I have a path to come and test the 391 to 390 range down here. So this is our path downwards that I'm seeing personally on the way here. But upwards, we've got a few bigger battles to fight if we want to go upwards. So if we want to go upwards, we have to break through this point here, this trend line here that's been acting as resistance within this channel of resistance range here within these two, right? If we can break above these and test this 200 moving average and break upwards, we have a path back to 400. So that's kind of the formula that I'm seeing here for the S&P. Again, it's easier to probably see if we turn the lines off and kind of just go based off of our EMAs, is if we can break above this kind of resistance point here on the 397, 396 range and make our way up, we can probably test the 398 at the 200 moving average. And if we can break that, we probably have a path to 399 and 400. Again, if we can get there, if the volume comes in, if we have enough juice to push this thing upward. But if we lose the 9 and the 50 EMAs, which again, this is very light support. It's only been 3 candles for the 9 and 2 candles for the 50. Not much. It's in the grand scheme of things, in order for these things to show very, very strong support, we need to have it for several candles, and we don't really have that yet. So watching this, we need to see this thing. We need to see this thing hold if you want to push up. So we're really stuck between a rock and a hard place in order for this thing to kind of play out here. So that's kind of what I'm watching here on the S&P 500. It's going to be an interesting week with Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, as we discussed. Nothing too crazy outside of the testimony from Barr, and then of course the auction note tomorrow in the afternoon, and then Thursday and Friday is when the big economic events kick in with GDP, jobless claims, and our PCE. So that's the market prep part of this. So now I want to go into doing some stock charting with you guys. So this is the part of the show where I ask you to drop some tickers down here. And I know we had a few of them come through. Milky had asked for, says, what's up with Chewy? So in terms of news, Chewy, I'm not sure, but we can take a look at the chart together and discuss. So in terms of news for Chewy, if I'm not sure what's going on, I'll come here and I'll search it up. So let's see if there's been any news from Chewy. I know this has been one of those stocks that's been memed out a little bit. So again, be very careful. This can be there can be some volatility that's around Chewy here. So that's what you want to see. But looking at this news, I can see it has some violent moves down 7.97%, and then back essentially flat on Friday. Thursday it had some volatility, but no news on Friday. I'm not seeing any big pressing news. You can see they had their earnings come out last week on Wednesday. They beat on EPS, on revenue. I'm not seeing any projections for forward projections for the company, but that's okay. Let's take a look at the chart. So taking a look at the chart really quickly, we can see here that Chewy I like to look at the how my methodology works is I'll look at the daily chart, and then I will come and take a look at the hourly chart, so on and so forth, right? This chart's a little small, so I'm gonna take you to the larger version. This is just TradingView that's built in for free into the Benzinga tool, but I'll take you to the bigger chart so you can kind of see a little bit clearer. Same formula, same format here. Looking at the daily again, we're gonna start with the daily and work ourselves backwards. We can see that Chewy, it looks like their earnings, they weren't met with much. People didn't like it. People didn't like their earnings, people being the markets, right? Markets sold it all, and it dropped it down significantly. I'm seeing the tickers coming in, and I appreciate you guys. This will be fun. I knew that this format would work because this is what we used to do in the old show. If you guys were here in the old show back in the day, it's called After Hours. I would do it Tuesdays and Thursdays after market close, and we would do a very similar thing, and people had a lot of fun. So I thought it would play out here. I might pause sometimes when doing this because my voice is still uh, being a little bit crummy. But we will try our best to get to everyone's tickers. All I ask in return, smash that like button. We want to get to the goal like count of this video of 50 likes. If we can get there, that'll be super cool. And we'll keep chugging forward. As the goal like count goes up and we keep hitting it, the stream will go longer. I got nowhere to be. I'm here with you. I'm here for you. So starting off right off the bat, looking at Chewy, I can see here that this thing has built some support down here. Down here, it has some support in the 31 range. It built some support here in the $29 range before it bounced up. But I can see here every time earnings have been mixed, right? Earnings either sold off or popped off. Just like every other company, things have been wild, and this thing has not been having its fair share of fun. So I'm going to turn off the 200 moving average really quickly just so I can kind of auto adjust myself. And I'm really looking for a range to pick for my fibs because I want a Fibonacci range. So I'm going to go for my swing low to my swing high here. And one thing that I always remembered is I hated how I hate how TradingView does their Fibonacci's. I personally use TrendSpider, but I didn't want to interact with two different brands on here, so we'll just keep going there. My pleasure, Eamon. My pleasure. Anything I can do to help you guys, I'm more than happy to. So I drew my fibs. I have my fib range here, and we can see that we're not within any range that can help us right now, right? We've got our lower range. This is the lower bound. We're hoping that this is the lowest point the stock will come to and maybe bounce again, like it did in October. Again, one thing to remember is resistance levels can be broken and support levels can be broken. Nothing is guaranteed to hold you down. Nothing is guaranteed to hold you up, right? Everything can be lost. Everything can be gained. Right off the bat, what I'm seeing here on the daily chart is my 9 exponential has been acting as resistance even before this earnings report came out. So I can see here that my earnings play, excuse me. The earnings on this stock caused it to sell off, but the 90 minute acting as resistance even the day before the earnings came out. I believe earnings came out for this after hours, if I'm not mistaken. And we can check again with the Pro Tool. We can see here that earnings came out at exactly. Again, this is a good thing is you can refer back and forth to these things because whenever 100% earnings came out after market close on Wednesday. So I can see here I've got resistance on the 90 MA. I've got a little bit of support here that held me in the 32, 31 range. So I'm more comfortable with putting my support range down here. As you can see, the more points that this touches and bounces, the stronger that support is for me in my head, right? The more points. If it's just 1 point to me, that's not really support. That's just a bounce, right? That's just one singular point. That level hasn't been tested multiple times for me to be able to kind of confidently say, hey, I'm going to put this as my support level. But this range right here, again, give it a range for support. Again, none of this is meant to be financial advice. It's just me trying to be an educator and trying to teach, try to help here. But as you can see here, multiple times, both back and front. Let me see. Where's the tool working? My horizontal tool. That might be better here. If I put my horizontal tool down, I'm going to change it to the yellow color because that was a little bit more easier to see here. But if you look here on the horizontal tool, and we can go in the past, right? We can see here. Once this support level was lost, we flushed significantly. But once the support level is held, even when it's tested and the fib level held, this was able to become strong support over the time period. So we can see here we bounced a few times. We held it. Okay, I'll try to talk slower then. I do apologize again. It's probably due to me being a little sick as well. Oh, I think it's automatically adjust mic volume is what's being a pain. So let me just fix that. That setting always tends to cause issues. Um, Let me fix that really quickly. So we should be good now because there's that automatically adjust mic volume thing. I remember that from back in the day. I forgot to turn it off. Now I've turned it off. So hopefully it doesn't happen again. Also, do me a solid. Make sure that your settings, if you can, if you have the ISP, the internet provider allows you boost your stream to 1080p if you can, because that'll get you to the maximum level of quality for both audio and video. That's for both of them. That'll help both of you. And keep smashing that like button. We're close. We're at 31 likes. Let's see if we can get to 50. There's 55 of you in here. The like button's free. Smash it. So, as I was saying, this level, this $32 range is where we're watching. If this comes and loses it, we have a path down to test the $30 range. And if I'm not mistaken, he has a lower float. Now I have to remember how to check the float here because it's been a little bit. Not the short float, the float. So the float is under 100 million is considered a lower float stock, low float stock. So we can see that this will, what that means is it's not going to take as much volume to move the stock. Lower volume, that's why you probably see this has been a more volatile stock. This can be a volatile stock because with, again, I don't use this chart. I go to this charts tab here, but looking at it on the daily, you can see that there's not much volume needed looking at the volume bars down here, and it still makes significant moves in both directions. So we're watching this here. So long story short, on this puppy right here, ironic to say puppy because Chewy makes dog food. If again, I don't know if they make other animal foods. If they do, let me know that. I'm curious now. I don't have a pet. I've been longing to get a cat, but I haven't yet. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm thinking of getting a cat. Let me know, chat, if I should get a cat. So if we lose this level and we come down past 32, we lose 32, we have to pass down to 30. Again, this is all hypothetical. If we're able to regain and break this 9 EMA here on the daily chart, we have a path to test this fib level here. If we break this, we have a path to test the 50. But this is the daily chart. What I tend to like to do is I'm more of a scalp slash day trader. I move very quickly. I trade very quickly. So let's go to the hourly chart to see how this presents on the hourly chart. And we can see here on the hourly chart, this is also stuck under the 9 exponential moving average, very strongly under the 9. So in order for me to see this break the uptrend here, um, if we can, Milky says, yes, get one. I really want a cat really bad. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I like the orange cats the best. I think they're called tabby cats, if I'm not mistaken, but they're the energetic ones. They're a lot of fun. But in order for this thing to break, you're going to need to break this downtrend. So if you look here, we're going to draw this trend line here, and trend lines are key thing here. We can see here if I draw my trend line. Here we go. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we're going to get it as close as possible. You want to, the more touch points, the better. We can see that we're in a strong downtrend here. In order for us to get a signal that we're breaking this downtrend, we're going to need to retake this 9 EMA, and then the next step will be to retake this 35 and retake this point here. If you look very close, I'm going to delete this trend line for a second and drop a horizontal line right here. Okay, I've got my magnet tool, so that means it's going to play some games with me. Let me turn the magnet tool off for a second. The magnet tool will play games with you on TradingView. But you can see around this $36 range, you've tested it 3 times within this range here, and it wasn't able to break it. We're going to need to break this level as well. So you have to break the 9 EMA. Again, let's say you're playing call options, right? In a hypothetical world, you break the 9 EMA, you get confirmation of a 9 EMA break, you enter call options. Again, hypothetically, the first place I'd be looking to take profits is probably around this 34.50 range, right? Again, it's one candle, but still. I'm looking again. I don't want to test my luck too much. I'll be looking to take profits in the 34.50 range, then 35. Ironically, it's a 50-cent range. Then my next one will be 35.60 here. And if we can break above this, we have almost a clean path all the way up to this 50 EMA, which is at 36.80. So that's where I'm looking. And throughout this whole time period, I'm moving up my stop loss. So as I'm taking profits, I'm moving up my stop loss. So we have that path there. And we discussed on the way down, we said if we lose this $32 range, again, you can enter for a scalp very quickly if you wanted to. You saw some support building here at the low 32.94. This puppy lets go. You'll probably come and test 32. 32 lets go. There might be some other support levels that we're not watching very closely here because, again, we're looking at this, the grand scheme of things. You probably have a path to come and test the $30 range on the way down. So we spent a lot of time on Chewy. I hope that helped. If it did, smash the like button. Keep the tickers coming in. Beach Bum Trading says we have 2 cats, you know. We're gonna keep it clean in the stream. Keep family friendly. Okay. All right. I needed that. All right. So next up, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go through in order because that's just the name of the game. First come, first served. XRP Fresh. What about what do you think about Microsoft? Microsoft is an interesting play, right? Microsoft has been getting a lot of attention due to OpenAI, right? OpenAI, you probably know it better as ChatGPT. It's a really cool AI tool. Now, I got lucky enough that I've been able to play with ChatGPT significantly, and I also got access to Bard, which is Google's answer to ChatGPT, their AI. Bard has a much hard uglier interface. If I want to put it in the most put it in the most kind way, is it has a very ugly interface. Now that's beneficial to ChatGPT because it became the first entry point of this AI thing. The first person who enters the market and conquer the market will usually do well in that market because people are used to it. ChatGPT flows better, the UI is better, it loads the answers line by line, so it's like you're feeling like it's actually like churning this and thinking. Whereas Google's Bard takes like a second or two and then throws a whole answer on the screen and then says we have three other alternative answers. It's kind of like an information overload, right? The reason we are looking to an AI is that we want something that gives us answers. We've spent a whole lifetime on Google searching for answers, right? We're querying, so we're like, what is CPI? And then we see a bunch of search results, and we have to search and then find the answer ourselves, right? Whereas now ChatGPT AI has come around, we're no longer a searching for source-based community. It's become more of us searching for a direct answer. What is CPI? Okay, CPI is Consumer Price Index. It's encompassed based off of this, and this. It does this, and that. And it breaks it down for you and gives you the answer. Bard gives you too much information in one shot, and it feels like a Google search. So I think they're going to clean that up, and that gives Microsoft benefit because I saw a video last night. Ironically, that you bring it up, is Microsoft. This isn't Microsoft's first introduction to OpenAI. They put $1 billion into the OpenAI company back in the day too. I think it was 2019 after Elon Musk had exited. They put $1 billion into it. So they've been very on the ground level for this thing. So now looking at Microsoft stock, if we take a look at it on the daily chart real quick. Yeah, actually, I am. So Beach Bum is referring to. So my just to give you guys some background on me, my undergraduate degree from NYU is in computer engineering, and my master's degree is in management of technology. When I was doing my computer engineering, my thesis was around a computer science-based project for entrepreneurs. So I do have that background, and then of course, I think Beach Bum referring to the bot is the trading bot that I've built for my Discord team, which I'll show you guys later if you guys want. Which it's a reminder bot where if I kind of feed it my watch list, and it helps us helps with the trader, helps traders provide them with examples of potential entries that could be existing, and kind of meant to be kind of like a tool to assist them and help them out. So I kind of have an understanding of the computer science world. So that's why it's like really cool to me to see this AI thing play out because ChatGPT is very advanced and it's a lot of processing power that's going in. And the fact that it's answering so quickly, even on the free version, is like, holy crap, this is really cool. So that's why, like, I think that's what Beach Bum is referring to. So looking at Microsoft, we can see that Microsoft is really chugging, right? Even when everything has been going nuts, Microsoft has been chugging, even after some massive drops that they had after earnings. This OpenAI thing, and especially at the cost of Google, it's been chugging. It had one false breakout here. It's had a bit of a better breakout here. If I can kind of let me clean this a little bit better here. Again, this is a daily chart for Microsoft. It had a false breakout here, and kind of sold off significantly back to the 50 EMA, but then brought itself back into the game and had a better breakout here, which is funny because even on the cusp of everything going on here, excuse me. Even on the cusp of everything going on here with CPI, well, it's not, excuse me, CPI was one of them, and which was good, and FOMC, which was not so good. Microsoft has been able to hold it, but it's been kind of chugging and churning here in this 280 range, this $280 range here between 280 and 283 has been a bit of a pain point for our friend Microsoft. It hasn't been very helpful for it. So now if we draw some fibs here again, we'll go for a swing high to a swing low. Again, I really hate the fib levels on trading. Um, so we can see here that we can see here that we. I'm sorry, I just hate these fib levels so much. So our next big battle will be around this 383 version of this whole situation here. Will be the next big battle. But as you can see, in order for this thing to make its next descent, and we've seen it in the past, when Microsoft loses that 9 exponential moving average, that's really the point when you start seeing Microsoft sell off significantly. If it loses this 9 EMA, uh, it'll probably get some tests. If it loses it, then we'll probably see a flush down to the 50. Excuse me, retesting this line again. Excuse my pauses. Excuse all this. I'm under the weather. I apologize. I don't normally sound like this. Forgive me for that. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on Microsoft. Um, Microsoft here. It's one thing is that with Microsoft, I've never really liked Microsoft for options too much because if you look at it now, you're getting some decent moves. But Microsoft has always been more of a flatter mover in this space. I've never really liked Microsoft for options, but for long term, if you're looking for the AI play, I know that everyone's looking for like the penny stock AI play, which I'm not a big fan of. Microsoft might be the answer there if OpenAI continues to produce dominance here. A1 says ChatGPT is a weak version of a prescriptive info and is biased as well as a program, not an AI. I agree. I don't think it's a full AI yet. I think it's just a lot of information and it's processing it because it doesn't know how to. So it isn't able to pass the Turing test. In order to be a true AI, you have to pass the Turing test, which means that you're going to sit in the room with said AI. And if again, correct me if I'm wrong on the Turing test. I don't for it to be a true AI. You sit in the room with it, the Turing test. You talk to the AI. You don't know it's an AI, and you're not convinced. And you're convinced it's a real person on the other side for a prolonged period of time. And I think the prolonged period of time is 30 minutes or so, something like that. So I don't think it's a true AI. And I do believe that there's been some reports of some biases around it because of the way that it was programmed. But one thing to remember is that every AI is going to have a programmer, and every programmer it's like an art, right? Program is like art. So there's going to be some sort of bias within it put in there. Um, so we'll see. Milky, thank you. I appreciate you, your kind words. It means a lot. Robbie comes in with a really good question. Let's discuss it really quickly. Let's take a moment. Robbie said, "Good morning, bro." Good evening, Rob. I'm not sure what time zone you're in. I'm in New York. It's nighttime for me right now. It's 8:30 p.m. at night. Big fan of your work. Thank you, Robbie. Is it really possible to make good money consistently through trading? Please be honest. If if that's so, if that's so, why do only 3 to 7% of traders make money even after 7 years? So, Robbie, this is a very, very important and really, 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 really good question. Is it possible to make consistent money through trading? Absolutely, yes. But you're not guaranteed money through trading. This is the thing about trading that unfortunately most people will misunderstand and misinterpret. And I think it's really fueled by social media, Twitter, Reddit, uh, Discord teams, and stuff like that that are dishonest. Is what happens here is making consistent money at anything, whether you're a plumber or an electrician, um, a photographer, a videographer, anything in any space. You have to be really good at it. You have to be good at it to really good at it. And how do you do that? You have to practice. You have to understand the rules and the biases. What happens, Robbie, is that people will enter the stock market. They'll be like, okay, Johnny over there is doing really good on Twitter. I'm going to follow Johnny. I'm going to hope Johnny posts alerts. I'm going to copy Johnny's trades. And I'm going to get really rich. And then what happens is you're copying Johnny. One day Johnny disappears. Johnny's gone now. Poof. So you copied 50,000 of his trades, 27,000 did good, 23,000 did crap. Overall, you may be netted positive or broke even if you're lucky. Oh well. But then later down the line, you're gonna have to do this on your own. Johnny's gone. You got to look for another savior, right? It's kind of like I got to look for someone else to copy, someone else to do it. That's not trading. That's the unfortunate thing. If if you're able to take the time to build a strong trading foundation, learn the rules of the market, both the fundamentals and the technical rules, spend time practicing these rules, spend time day and night. I personally have been doing this for a while, right? Every single night from 6 p.m. to around 10 p.m., I'm charting stocks and practicing and back testing and looking at what I'm doing every single night. That's just what I'm doing. Throughout the day, I'm watching everything that's going on and not just watching it to like boringly watch, okay, candle went green, candle went red. No, no, no. I'm watching to see what are the patterns? What am I seeing here? How can I make my trading better? Like recently, the newest thing that I've introduced into my trading setup is the 200 moving average on the 3 minute because I'm a scalp trader. I needed something to give me a broader scope of where things are going, and I introduced the 200. And you have to constantly adapt. So the answer is, can you do it? Yes, even after 7 years of failing. So you have to. It goes back to Einstein's definition, right? Insanity is repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. So you have to look back, Robbie, and see. I'm not sure if this is about you, the 7 years of failing. I'm not. I don't know your story, but in these 7 years, what has been the cause of this situation? Like, What have you been doing? What did you spend time focusing on? Have you been practicing enough? Did you just go gung ho and trade? Again, I don't know your story. I'm just going most of the time what I see happen in the trading world is people will enter, they'll copy another trader's trades, which I hate that. It goes back Beach Bum is saying it, learn how to fish instead of that learn how to fish instead of being handed fish. What happens is people get used to being handed fish and fed fish. It's the old idiom, right? Learn how to fish forever, give a man a fish for a day, he'll eat for a day. Learn how to fish, you'll eat forever, right? So what happens here is people aren't willing to spend the time to learn how to trade, and then what happens is they'll fall short. But if you spend time learning how to trade, you practice, you ask questions. If you get really lucky, you find a good mentor or find a good trading team that'll help you. That's focused on education. That's not an alert farm. I hate alert farms. Um, you can find your own path. And look, the other thing is sometimes it's just not for you. For some people, maybe they just don't have the skill set to do it. I, for one, I can't play the drums to save my life. I can play guitar sort of a little bit, but I can't play drums to save my life. No matter how much I try, I just can't do it. And I've accepted that and I've moved on with my life and I focused on guitar. So that's kind of the long story short there, Robbie. And I hope that helped you out. But I want to get back to more stocks. But questions are good. We'll do more questions like this, throw them in the chat. And yeah, and like trading bum is saying, it's a skill set you can have for life. I think investing is a very good skill set. You can have trading is a good skill set, but in order, just like every other skill set, you have to put the time in to learn it, and you'll be able to do well. So we did Microsoft. Next, we did Microsoft. We did Chewy. Next up, we had SCHW. So let's take a look at this. SCHW. Charles Schwab. Oh, someone wants to play the banks. Someone's getting gutsy and playing the banks. So we know that the banks have been wild, right? The banks have been ugly, 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 ugly situation that's been going on within the U.S. And we can see here that Charles Schwab has been under gunfire, just like all the others. And it's really been like a contagion, a fear-based thing that's been going on for a while now in the banks. So right off the bat, I can see here that this thing, ever since the massive drop started happening, and this is a big drop, right? This is Charles freaking Schwab taking a 12% day drop, an 11% day drop, consolidating, then dropping again. And then we can see here that what is this telling me? We got some news coming in, sizing up the firms, sizing up the firms. We got some news there. We have earnings coming up for Charles Schwab just in a few days, in 2 weeks actually. So we're stuck under the 9 EMA here for Charles Schwab. So let's go to the hourly chart straight away because we know that we're stuck under there. And very parallel, we can see here that Charles Schwab is stuck under the 9 EMA. If you want to break this downtrend, because you're in a steady downtrend here, my friend. Charles is in a Charles, like he's my cousin. Charles Schwab is stuck in a downtrend here. You can see that right there. We got downtrend there. But if you want to see the master downtrend, you can see that this thing is cruising down. It's consolidating a little bit here, but it's kind of been holding its own a little bit better around this range here on this $51 range. Again, when I say range, give yourself some room to the upside, give yourself some room to the downside. You always want to give it's never going to always come down to the same exact penny and then bounce up right there. David is saying he's in the same spot as you. So yeah, we'll discuss more about that. If you guys want to discuss more of this trading stuff, I'm definitely more than happy to discuss it. Why do I use hollow candles? I just a preference that I've had. I know I don't really use them by the rules that hollow candles operate on. A lot of the time, I try to, but I don't. Transparency. I like using hollow candles better than filled candles. Just a preferential thing. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just kind of how I go about it. Sometimes I'll use the rules of the hollow versus the filled, and you can see that it gives you like a better idea of when something is bullish when you get that full body filled candle there. Just my personal preference. So in order for Charles Schwab to make a move upward, we're going to need to break the 9 exponential and this trend line for it to finally come and retest this 56 level. You're probably not going to see that until you start seeing the banking sectors kind of cool off and things start to calm down in the banking world and things kind of the fear subside. You'll probably see this move to the upside. Yeah, it did hold very nicely on Friday. It's entered into kind of a consolidation mode. The only thing that worries me about this consolidation mode is if you look at it the last time we consolidated, it's not guaranteed that it's over, right? You look here, like for the past 4, 5, 6, 7 trading days, it consolidated. Then the day after FOMC, it flushed because of the comments of Janet Yellen. and then you had another excuse me, you had another retest of the 51 and it held. It held 51 on Friday. And you can see here, even on this really ugly day on the 13th, it held 51, still closed above. Suggested you went lower, but you still closed above. It's on the daily chart. You still technically are holding that support level. So in order for this to make the move up, you have to go there. In order for it to make the big move down, you're gonna have to lose this 51.30 and probably come down and retest lower levels on Charles Schwab, on Uncle Charles. So I want to see if there's any other stuff we should be on the lookout for coming from the banking sector. If there's been any news this evening on this whole situation, just caught a little fruit fly actually when we were doing this action. Just down 32% on. Okay, nothing really coming in through the pipeline of this. But we know that, of course, we discussed it. Janet Yellen speaking on Thursday will have an effect. We discussed it. Barr's testimony on Tuesday and Wednesday could also have an effect. It all depends on what they say about this process. So we discussed Schwab. For move down, you're going to need to lose 51.30. For move up, you're going to need to break this 90 EMA on the hourly chart. Then the 50 EMA on the hourly chart for this to continue to move upwards. But your master resistance, if you look at it on the daily chart, is this 9 exponential, which is at 57.22. So that's going to be the big battle. Yellen needs to stop. Actually, I think if Yellen stopped talking, things will get actually worse, because if she stops talking, it's a sign that, hey, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to be touching it. We're just going to let you guys think. So I think that'll be even more dangerous if she stops talking. But we'll see. Robbie back with the follow-up. Can you share your strategy? Some traders on YouTube say technical analysis or price action is gambling and no one can make money but deeper pockets. He traded for Barclays for 28 years. Everyone has a different strategy, Robbie. I personally trade off of technical analysis. It's worked for me. I trade off of charts. It makes sense for me. It's worked for me for the time being, and I adjust my movement there. I'm not sure what the person from Barclays that you're mentioning, how they trade. They can be trading off of fundamental analysis over longer swings of time. They're trading over 3 months to 6 month spans between earnings cycles. I'm not sure how they're doing it, but I personally found that I like trading off of technical analysis. That's kind of what's worked for me. My strategy operates. You're seeing my strategy here in real time. I go based off. I use the EMAs and the MAs here. I keep it very simple. I used to be very much more complicated. I go off of support resistance levels. I trade based off of them. I'm a scalp trader, which means I day trade. Might be a better way for you, maybe a little clearer. But Robbie, I think the most important thing, my friend, is in order for you to understand and become, not to understand, rather to become where I think you want to go as a consistently profitable trader, you need to practice the rules. Pick a skill set that you want to go off of, right? If you want to trade off of technical analysis or price action, or you want to do fundamental analysis, massively long swing trades, 100% up to you. You find your style and you practice that one and you get better. But yeah, my voice has issues because I'm sick. That's why we're having some voice issues there. So I'm not sure why that's happening, but I apologize. That's just that's some of the. Again, I'm playing with some of the settings as well, so hopefully that'll kind of help out. Maybe if it got better, let me know. Mic check 1 2. Brandon says mic check. Mic check. Can you guys hear me? Test 1 2 1 2. Hello. Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me. If not, no big deal. Well, yes, big deal if you can't hear me. Check your YouTube, bro. You're cutting off. Come closer. I can't come close. It's literally on the microphone. I can't come closer to the microphone. People are saying got better. So if you're having issues, just refresh the page. Sometimes it could be your network connectivity issues. But we'll see. Again, this is my first time back in a while. We'll get better at this. There's something called echo cancellation on, which I don't know where these settings come from, but it was on there and it looks like it was causing some issues. So hopefully that's gone now. Okay. So yeah, Robbie, end of the day, I personally go off of technical analysis, pick a strategy that works for you, practice that strategy. I also teach technical analysis. If you're interested, you can hit me up. I can try my best to help you or provide you with some tools that can help you. Whatever works can work. Okay, so let me repeat it, Robbie, and then if you have a follow-up question, we'll go from there. What I was saying was pick the style or strategy that works for you. I personally use technical analysis. It works for me. I've been using it. The key to technical analysis is to find a formula that works for you. You're seeing my formula here in real time. This is exactly how I do my trading. Is I'll look on the macro, which is the daily. Then I'll look on the my micro, which is the hourly chart. And then I'll chart my levels. And then based off of that, I'll look for entries and exits off of support and resistance. I keep it very simple. Back in the day, I used to be very, very complicated with my trading, and I found that that was overcomplicating and causing me to miss entries and exits. But now I'm finding that simplifying it has been able to help me out much, much more. Gene, yes, this will be a weekly thing that I'll be doing every Sunday, hopefully every Sunday. That's the plan. Yeah, Beach Mom, I'm using StreamYard. Benzinga's StreamYard is what I'm using. I'm hoping that levels are better now and you guys hear me better. Sometimes connectivity can be off and on. We'll see. I'm in a very well-connected room, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Like over 60% win rate. My probabilities are... I do very well. My probability is good. Do you cut your losses early or big style? No, I cut my losses early. I'm a scalp trader, which means I'm day trading very quickly. I'm looking for 7 to 10%. If I can continue and hold out for a much bigger win, that's even better. But I keep my stop losses at minus 5%. And then once I make my initial exit, I will move my stop loss to break even. I'm very quick. Like some people don't like that kind of strategy, but I'm very, very, very quick with my entries and my exits. That's kind of how I operate. Sometimes you'll have bigger moves throughout the day. Sometimes you'll have smaller moves throughout the day, and I'll go off of that. But I create a plan the night before. I update my plan the morning before market opens. And then off of my plan, I will begin my execution, and I will try not to sway from my plan. That's kind of how I operate in trading. Okay, so let me get back to some charting. Let's go back to charting some stocks, because I know that's what a lot of the folks are here for. But as questions come up, I'll be more than happy to answer them as well. Again, first stream back, hoping to do this weekly. Okay, so next up, Gene says from Guam, welcome, Gene. I'm looking at the messages from the past. I missed some of them. So we did Charles Schwab. Next up, we have AMD. Russ says, this is tiring the bear. Why are semis so hot recently? I think semis are really hot recently just because of this whole AI craze. NVIDIA has been running, so sympathy to NVIDIA. AMD has been running. TSM has been moving. So I think it's really been... that's probably the reason why the semis have been moving is because NVIDIA jumped on the AI train and they're like, we're the only ones that could do AI and our chips are meant for AI. Because they saw the OpenAI and ChatGPT craze, and they started going crazy. By the way, smash that like button, guys. I don't know if we're at the goal yet. We're 10 away from the goal. There's 50 folks in here. We're at 40 likes. Smash the like button. We'll keep the stream going if we can hit these goals. So yeah, honestly, I think that's the only reason why there's no real news about chips that's been causing this whole shindig to happen. There's been no real changes really that are really helping the chip sector move. There has been no real merit reason, right? But you asked for AMD, so let's take a look at AMD really quickly, which I know AMD, this sucker has been moving. And again, we're going to check to see if there's been any new news about AMD. All right. So all I'm seeing is next, $100. I don't know how that's a news story or headline, but there's literally nothing. If you guys can see this, there's nothing for this to expand to tell me why. It's this next $100. Like, okay, I guess. There's a lot. These are like opinion pieces. I'm not seeing any news-based stuff. SoftBank's arm is set to raise chip price designs to boost revenue ahead of IPO. Okay, SoftBank, more chip sector stuff. So no real news that I'm seeing, but you can correct me. Put it in the chat. I'll put it in the chat, and I'll try my best to, if there's any news, we can discuss it. So that being said, let's go to the chart for AMD and jump into it. So we can see here right off the bat, 90 EMA has been strong support on AMD. It's been holding, it's been chugging, it's been moving up. Underneath that, strong support on the 50 EMA. So when the 9's gone, the 50 EMA has been able to catch this thing and kind of send it back up on the daily chart. Going to the hourly to see how we're looking on the hourly. We can see here that on the hourly chart, this thing has been chugging as well. And it has been having problems with the 100 to 102 range. Now, this is the funny thing. For someone who has been watching AMD for a while. It's one of those stocks that's always on my watch list. So I look at AMD daily now I've done 430 watch lists because I have this thing where I have a counter. I've done 430 watch lists and always watching AMD. AMD always has trouble between the $100 and the $102 range when it enters this zone. Even if we look back in time, we can see here that this range is almost always a pain point. You see this? And even when it breaks above it, it goes to like 105, then it says nope. So right now, it's kind of, if you look at it sideways, you've got an inverse head and shoulders forming here, which is bullish, right? So again, if you're not happy about that, I'm sorry. But again, it's an inverse head and shoulders forming here. And if we can break the neckline to the upside, we have momentum to move upward and test this 105 range and then the 110 range. Again, looking at the daily chart. Again, all hypothetical, nothing is promised, nothing is guaranteed. If we lose the 90 MA, things start to cool off and start to sell off here. Again, we've got earnings coming up. Again, earnings cycle for Q1 is coming down the pike really quickly, like in 2-3 weeks. Earnings starts yet again. The banks present first, and then the tech sector picks up. These guys are on May 2nd, about 2 months, a little more than a month away. Not 2 months away because we're in the tail end of March. We can see here that if this breaks this trend line, we've got the path upwards. If we reject the trend line, we'll probably come and test the 90 MA again. And if we lose the 90 MA, we'll probably have a path down to come and test the 50 MA here on the daily chart. Looking at the hourly to kind of get these smaller micro levels, we can see here that we need to, in order for us to come and test this trend line up here, we need to break the 90 MA on the hourly chart. If we can break the 90 MA on the hourly chart, we've got a path up. We've got a path up here, hypothetically speaking, to test the trend line and then hopefully make a way up. If we lose this line here, we can see we've got some thin support here, a thin trend line here, right here. If we lose this, we come and test the 50 EMA. The 50 EMA goes, things start to get a little ugly for our friend AMD. Tassos says, when do we short NVIDIA? Not for a while. I mean, not for a while, but let's take a look at it together. We can see here that NVIDIA's been the leader of the pack here. NVIDIA's been the one that's been chugging this party upwards, literally been on a straight line up. Excuse me again. So NVIDIA's been chugging straight line up. You don't short NVIDIA, in my opinion. Again, do whatever you want. It's your prerogative. Until you start seeing the trend break down. And the trend's been on the 90 MA. Once the 90 MA breaks down, gives you some confirmation, you have a path to come and retest the 50 MA, then the 200 MA. But this is the thing here. If we take a look here for 1 second, we can see here that everyone was looking, myself included, was looking for a breakdown of NVIDIA here on the earnings, right? This gap that had formed here on NVIDIA, let's draw it together. You can see here, this gap here that had formed, we were looking for this gap to break down and fill almost instantly. Almost instantly. And it didn't happen because the AI craze kicked in following their earnings, which were taken very well by the markets, clearly, right? They beat on both EPS and revenue, and they kept chugging upwards. Had you initiated a short here, you would have probably been hurt. Maybe this day you could have gotten out, but I know most people were probably looking for the big full move down here. But in order to look for a downtrend and descent on an NVIDIA, we needed to lose the 90 MA and then lose the 251, 250 range. And then you probably come and start testing this to see if this resistance level will become support around 244, so on and so forth. But right now, NVIDIA is chugging up, and it's becoming harder and harder to chart as things are getting wilder because it's getting tighter and tighter. If you look here, like I did this one today for our watch list, and it's getting really tight. It's getting really tight here, and like it's forming these symmetrical triangles, and it's forming patterns where it can go either way. You can break out above here again if volume kicks in, and make another higher high, make another high move, or retest the high, or you can lose it and finally it starts to cool off. It's really how the markets are taking it. Right now, the markets are looking for like, hey, this thing is winning. We're just going to keep on winning with it. And we can see here that the 90 MA was acting as resistance. Towards the end of the day, it closed above the 90 MA, just a few cents over it. If it could break above this, it'll make its path to the trend line. If it breaks above the trend line, you'll test 273, then 275, then the high 277. 276, excuse me, not 277, 276. So that's kind of the path for NVIDIA. So that kind of covers our chips set there. So inadvertently, I know Tasos was just joking, but I thought it was a good idea to bring in and discuss here. This is the things that this is another lesson, like just kind of quickly throw it in here, is what happens is people will try to short stocks before you see the trend break. They try to beat the move to the trend. And if you go against the trend, it will usually end up hurting you. But if you play along with the trend, it'll help you out. So if you see the trend break down, that's probably a good time to start the short position. Via either taking a direct short position or you're buying puts, whatever you're doing. You have to lose the trend first. And here we can see that the trend has been pretty strong. Either it's the 90 MA or this trend line or the 50 MA. It's been holding very, very well. Soxel, that's the ETF for chips. You can see here it's also 3x, so it's 3x leverage, so it'll move 3 times as heavy as others do. And you can see here even parallel here, this is stuck under the 90 MA, very parallel probably because this, I know AMD's in here and Micron is in here, NVIDIA is in here, TSM is in here. So a lot of the chips stocks are in here, and this is a 3x directional bull ETF for this, so it moves 3 times as strong as the normal ones. NVIDIA giving you a nice pullback to buy. Again, we'll have to see. I think that it's really, really hot here on NVIDIA. It's made a really, really big move up. I personally am not a buyer up here. I think it's really, really heavy up here right now for NVIDIA. So let me scroll back up and see what other stocks folks were asking for. Again, do me a solid. If you're watching, smash the like button. We're 1 like away from our 50 like goal. Let's get there. I would appreciate it if we can get there. We're literally 1 like away. By the way, if you guys are curious about learning how to do this stuff, I have a YouTube channel as well. There's a bunch of educational videos there. It's in the link down below. I also have a trading team where we're focused on teaching people trading and the art of trading, the technical analysis, learning, and all that other stuff. There's course videos there. All that stuff is built in there. It's available to you. That's also linked down below in the description. Beach Bum was discussing earlier a bot. We built a bot that kind of helps us with the watch list, kind of because I don't want to sit there and have to watch every single one on the watch list. I hate alerting, so I built this bot that kind of helps people. It kind of gives alerts as to when trades might be viable. Again, might is the key word. This is results from Thursday. I didn't get to do the results from Friday yet. Again, I've been sick, but you can see that this is kind of how it's been playing out. The link's down below, and that SPY plan that I discussed, I posted every single morning for the team. You can see this is again for Thursdays. This is very, very well. If you traded the plan, again, always never copy anyone else's trades. Only take the trades that you believe in. If it makes sense to you, ask questions if you're curious about it, but only trade things that you believe or you agree with. Don't ever blindly copy anyone's trades. That includes here. But if you'd like to join, the link is down in the description of this stream. Be more than happy to have you. We're always looking for more students to join the team, and I highly recommend it for people who are truly looking to learn to become better traders. And we teach all this technical analysis stuff there via videos, and it's an open-minded community where you can ask questions. You're not going to feel like, oh no, I feel like an idiot while I'm asking questions. It's not like that. It's open to helping people learn more and more there. So that's kind of that there. So if you'd like to join, you're more than welcome to join us. It's linked down below in the description. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, so we did Charles Schwab, we did AMD. Hold on, I lost my place here for a second. Gina saying Meta. I'm seeing a few folks asking for Meta, so let's knock those all out in one shot. Meta, again, this is really moving on the TikTok ban news, right? There's been a lot of news or discussion about a TikTok ban. TikTok being banned. We saw the hearings last week. They weren't really. I didn't really see any convincing of. I didn't really see people convinced that the ban shouldn't happen, right? And we know Congress isn't very tech savvy, unfortunately. But during their questioning there, the questions were really weird. It's like, does TikTok use Wi-Fi? Duh. So there's a lot of concern around data security and all that other crap there. So Meta has been a beneficiary of this because people believe that, hey, if TikTok gets banned, everyone's going to go to Instagram Reels and move back to Instagram and move there, even though they're very similar, but their algorithms are also very different. TikTok is much, much more accurate and adapts much more on the fly than Instagram's algorithm, which is very, very based on what you like, what you follow, what you see, rather than TikTok's, which is really based on what you're watching. So it'll adapt to what you're watching and what you're doing and what you're viewing there. So that's kind of a really, really big thing there. If Facebook could have gotten there and they focused on there, the biggest issue that Facebook really has, in my opinion, or Meta has, is they focus on too many things at the same time. They're like, metaverse, we're going to do Facebook, we're going to do Instagram, we're going to copy Snapchat, we're going to copy TikTok, we're going to copy YouTube. And that's what's really diluted the value of what Facebook was initially, the first social media platform, following MySpace, of course, and AOL and AIM and all that. But looking at Meta now, it's really been chugging up on TikTok. And if something comes out and they say, hey, TikTok's not being banned, this thing's going to fall back down again because nothing magical has happened. Meta is still burning through tons of cash, to build this metaverse. Zuckerberg has... Excuse me. I'm very, very sorry. I promise you, God willing, next week I will not be sick, and we'll have a much more cleaner stream with less pauses and interruptions from me and my stupid scratchy throat. But if anything happens there, you can see a quick breakdown of this chart breaking down fairly fast, because this has just really been moving up on that news. There's no merit to this. There's no news that's come out of Meta of like, hey, oh no, we just found like $1 billion trillion of money, and we're just going to turn that into Facebook. No. There's nothing coming. It's really big based on the Meta news. So if we look here, I'm just going to turn off my mic real quick to just blow my nose. I apologize. I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I didn't want to blow my nose on mic. I'll cough on mic. I'll drink water on mic, but I'm not blowing my nose on a live stream. Thank you, Gene, for the follow on Twitter. Robbie, I'll get to your questions in a second, I promise. But realistically, we're stuck under this resistance trend line right here up top and on the bottom. As you can see here, a lot of my trading revolves around very simple. I'm not going crazy. I'm not aggravating myself. I'm really looking for support and resistance ranges, and that's really what I'm watching. Beach Bum is also right. They've done tons of layoffs, which really, what is a layoff? So layoff to you and I sounds like, oh no, they're laying off people. This is bad. Layoff also means capital conservation. It also means lowering their costs. The same amount of work is going to be done by the people in the company. Whether Meta needs to put out 15 projects this year with 1,000 people or 15 projects with 500 people, it's going to get churned out. My buddy worked at Meta. He worked on the Facebook division, and he said even though we kept losing people throughout the year, the work still had to get done. So that means they're cutting costs and they're really more pushing their employees to do more work. So it's less laissez-faire tech situation scenario of the TikTok videos that we used to see on TikTok and Twitter. So if we lose this trend line, we come and retest the 50 EMA on the hourly. If we can break above this trend line, we'll probably retest this resistance range here at the 207. 207 is a big point. If we go to the daily chart, we can see here that 207 was a pain point a while back as well. So I'm just going to drop a line at 207. If we look here, let's drop a line at the 207 range. We can see here in the past, too, we had a false breakout at 207 here for one really good day, and it wasn't able to hold. But in the past, it's been able to get over 207 and hold. It made a really nice move to 238. Now, will the same thing repeat? I don't know. We can't predict the future because I like to take things one level at a time. Really, I'm looking if we can break 207 for it to come and retest this 212, 213 range. If we can break that, then I'm looking for it to test the 216, 217 range. If we can break that, I'm looking to test the 220, 221 range here. But we like to look at, you always want to look at both ends of the coin, right? both sides of the equation. If we lose this trend line, we'll probably come and test the 90 EMA on the daily chart, which is very close and similar to the 50 EMA on the hourly chart here within ranges, right? If that goes, we'll probably come and test 290. That goes, we'll test 286. It'll fill this small gap here and then come down. What's going to really trigger this is if TikTok comes out and says we're not getting banned. That'll probably trigger a faster sell-off in Meta, and Snapchat and probably Pinterest might get some residual effects of negativity from it there. But if TikTok gets banned, you could probably, if TikTok truly gets banned, you might see a really big move to the upside for Meta, because they're going to be like, okay, their biggest competitor just got wiped out. That's like saying if Coca-Cola and Pepsi, one day Pepsi just gets banned from the United States, Coca-Cola stock is going to go from like whatever it is at right now, 56, 57 to like 70, right? Because once you lose your biggest competitor, you swallow their market share. Assuming you swallow market share. I don't see exactly Snapchat coming in and swallowing market share. I could see people maybe moving back to Instagram, even though the algorithms, as I mentioned, are a little bit different, but we'll see. So that's really that for a Meta in a nutshell, is watch these trend lines, watch these EMAs. This is really, really, really the key thing here. And keep an eye on the news, because this is one that's being moved, that's really moving on the news. As news comes in for this thing and it moves off of the news, you're going to probably see this stock really move more and more on these trajectories, on these movements. That's going to be really, really, really important there. So that's that. So let me scroll back up for a second, see what else. So we knocked out Meta was a request from a lot of different people, so we knocked that out in one shot. I'm seeing that. I'm hoping the audio is better now. Let me know if it's better. I'm assuming that echo cancellation and that other crappy setting that was there was what's causing this situation. I'm just catching up with the chat really quickly. Okay, here we go. So we discussed that. We discussed Meta. Mike kicking out. Mike's working again. Am I using StreamYard? I am. Okay. What's next? FRC. I'm not sure if M Madreno is still here or not. But let's look at FRC again. This is another one of the banking stocks. I personally, again, I wouldn't touch these things. Like, I don't know how you're going to, like, take a look at this really quickly. Like, just like between you and me, this thing gets halted like every 15 minutes. I don't really see the trade here until this thing can, and I think FRC found a buyer, if I'm not mistaken. Someone found a buyer over the weekend. I know that. U.S. to evaluate expanding, U.S. authorities, Pac Western, transparency, First Republic, why I'm sticking with my miss. Okay, these are opinion pieces. Top rocking law firm, okay. If your losses exceed 100, these are just law firms looking to chase people down and make money. No news. I was wrong. There is no buyer stepping in for FRC yet. But again, the banking crisis situation, it's not really a crisis, but the banking situation, if we want to chart this thing like a regular stock, but it's not really moving like a regular stock, is you've got support in the 1146 range, and you've got some support here building in this range right here around the $12 range. So that's really your support. And then if you look at your resistance, it's the 9 EMA. But I can draw it for you if you don't like to use the EMAs. You'd be using a trend line like this. And again, draw your trend line, clean it up as best as you can. The more points it touches, the better it is. The stronger it is, rather. We can see here that in order for this thing to make a move up, you really need to regain the 9 EMA on the hourly chart and make your way up. So if I go to my daily chart, I'll probably get a better, clearer view. This thing has just been a catastrophe of a stock, right? Like, I personally don't really see a trade here until this thing starts to reverse, until this thing starts to try to give some hope of an upside. And you really need banking news. You need them to come out and say, okay, this is our plan, this is our move ahead. And again, I don't think this is going to clean up for a while. And I know people are looking for the upside move to these things. They're like, when this thing gets cleared up, these will make really big moves to the upside, back from 11 to 20, for example, hypothetically. But as of right now, I personally don't like the trade, because everything I see is like every 15 minutes is like FRC halted, FRC halted. So I wouldn't touch these personally. Excuse me. So that's FRC. I'm not sure if that version's still here, but that's my thoughts on FRC. And I understand it might not be a full thorough thought process on here, but if you guys could do me a solid, even if you Put your ticker above. If you could retype it in the chat, because we had a lot of discussion, so I don't have to keep going back and forth. It's totally cool. You guys can blow the chat up. It's no problem. I'm more than happy going back instead of having to go back and forth just to see it there. In the time being, let me just answer Robbie's question. Throw some tickers in. I'm seeing a firm. I'm going to do a firm next. If you have a ticker up top, just type it in again. I appreciate it if you could do that, because the chat's I kind of got lost in the chat. I see AI as well. Topher saying AI. So I see AI. I see Affirm, and I see DraftKings coming in now. We're going to do all of them. Let me see Robbie's question. Robbie says, just liked, bro, with your entry, do you use buy stops or stop sales? What levels are marked? Do you wait for continuing trend or fake out? I wait for a trend to kick in, right? So, for example, if I'm watching this, right, if I'm doing this, let me just go to a regular. Let me give you an example. Someone had asked about Apple earlier, so this will be a good 2 stones, right? So this is Apple. Let me turn on extended hours so I could show you how I would operate it on it. Again, I trade on the 3-minute. That's how I do it. Again, do whatever works for you. Friday was a disgusting, choppy day. I was sick on Friday, so I wasn't trading on Friday, so I'm happy. But let's just take a hypothetical move. Let's say I'm looking for a move up on Apple. Right? I'm taking a move up on Apple. So I'm looking in the pre-market. I'm seeing in the pre-market that I've got some support here in the 157, some support here in the 158, some resistance here in the 158.80, and then that's it, right? This is my pre-market. Again, I'm looking at pre-market. I'm ignoring what happened because hindsight's 2020. And then the markets open up. So right away, I lose my support here again. I don't like trading the very first few minutes of the market, especially these days. I'm finding that the big moves start happening between 10 and 11. That's when markets really start kicking in, especially when we have big move pre-markets like this, where we gap down significantly or we gap up significantly. The markets don't really move until 10 to 11. That's really what I've been kind of seeing myself using. So I'd be watching, if I'm looking for a move up, I need this to break my upward resistance, which is here, this 158.84. So this candle pops it, but I can also see here that I have my 200 moving average as my resistance. So that to me tells me I'm approaching it, I'm waiting for it to test, and it's not breaking through. We have upper wicks, which is big selling pressure. Top wicks indicates selling pressure. So to me, that means wait, be patient, give it a second, be patient. And we see it rejected. Patience paid off. We see it testing again, isn't able to make it do, rejects it again, breaks down. Here, we can see here it chops its way down a little bit. But again, this year you're going to be burning premium, especially if you're trading a 0 data expiration contract. You're just going to be burning premium. It doesn't do anything for you. It tests it again, breaks out, gives you 2 candles, not enough confirmation candles for me to enter, especially in the middle of the day at 12 o'clock. I need at least 3 to 4. Rejects it again, flushes once more. At this point, you're probably looking for a rejection play on a better move to the downside. Excuse me. Oh, man. So you're really looking into later into the day, you start seeing the move here. The 200 MA, everything starts to line up again here. Again, this is a hypothetical example. We break above it, we test it, we enter, we test it, we retest it, we retest it, retest it. We get the move here. Maybe you enter into some call options here. It could have stopped you out easily. Again, this is a very choppy day. This is a very ugly day. You can see here that even when you're testing it, it's not making much of a move here until you get to this point where it kind of flushes up. On a day like this, right? On a day like this is a day where you don't want to trade. This is a day where it's really shit. Excuse me, my language. But it's a really bad trading day. It's all over the place. The algorithms are just trading this. It's really, really choppy. It's really hard to find an entry unless you're trading like for one candle. Let's say you did it like this. You broke above, confirmation 1, confirmation 2, entered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you got out very quickly, right? And then it flushed. Got in, confirmation 1, 2, 3, 4, entered, rode these little ugly candles up, hoping you're not in 0 data expiration, so this doesn't chop you to hell, and then you get out very quickly. But on an ideal day, on a normal day, on like Friday, let's look at Thursday, you can see here that Apple, I'm looking for a 200 MA break on Apple. Excuse me. On a 200 MA break on Apple, because that's my big resistance, and then right above that, we have 259.73 as my resistance. Let's just say 260 for argument's sake. So right here, I can see here, I'm below it. I'm chopping into the open. I know in the back of my head that during these past few weeks, between 10 and 11, or 11 to 12 is where I get my big move, so I've been practicing my patience. Namaste. Patience. Confirmation 1, confirmation 2, confirmation 3, confirmation 4. I take my entry. Boom. Keeps going. Continuation keeps going. Now, am I going to hold this and know that it's going to go all the way up? No, obviously not. No one knows what's going to happen. When you're entering, the chart looks like this. And then it starts going and going and going, and then things start to play out. You don't know what's going to happen until it happens. So what does that mean? That means you take profits on the way up. You start seeing some resistance forming here, you take some profits. You start making a move up here, you see a big ugly candle wick forming, you take some profits. You take some profits. You take some profits. Right, again, throughout this whole time, you have your levels charted from the night before. I don't have those levels here, but you take your profits. That's kind of how I personally trade. Now, it's really hard for me to explain it right now because my throat's really dry, and this is a very hard example. This is a hindsight example that we're doing that I'm not really prepared for. But like if you, on the Discord team, I've taught this to them. We've done many videos on this. We've done many live streams together on this. We've discussed it significantly. If you want to join, the links down below. But this is kind of in a nutshell of how I practice it. It's the night before I make a plan, the morning before I make a plan, and then I follow that plan into the day. I only trade SPY. I've only been trading SPY for a long time. That's kind of how I operate, is just trading SPY. That's been beneficial to me. That's kind of how I've been doing it for the longest period of time. And I've liked it. It's been very well to me. So like I can show you here an example. Again, this is not meant to be an advertisement, but let me just quickly show you an example. This is from Thursday, right? I said calls over 395, break or retest of the 9 or 50 MA or 200 MA. We broke over 395. Broke over the 90 MA, we retested it, we bounced, and it made a nice move up, and it went very, very well. Then for the downside here, I don't like playing it when we're between the 9 and the 50. I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that. And again, this is just an example for me to show you. Don't think of like me, I'm trying to plug it. You don't even have to care where this is from. It's not important. I said, this is my plan for Thursday morning. I didn't trade on Friday. For puts below the 9 and 50 EMA or the 200 MA. And is the key thing here, because I don't like trading in between them. Unless there's a nice big gap, which I mentioned down here, unless there's a nice big gap, I don't like trading it. But when they're overlapped and both are lost, I like that move. Why? Because I've lost my short term and I've lost my medium term, and it comes down. So here we can see here, we lost the 50 EMA and the 90 EMA. Confirmation 1, confirmation 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, why so many? Again, exemplary, right? Just hindsight example. You could have taken it on any of these, and you can see here, it starts to break down. You hit the 200 MA, which is the key support level. It retests, and then it flushes and rejects again. That 200 MA is very important for scalp trading, in my personal opinion, based off my preferences and how I trade, not financial advice. But this is just an example, and I do this every morning for the team. It's meant to be an example for folks to know and understand how to trade and learn what I'm doing. It's meant to be exemplary. It's not meant to be copied. If you use it and you find it beneficial, it's 100% your prerogative. But I hope that answers the question, Robbie. Robbie says a trader on YouTube turned 50K to 7 million. Congratulations to them. I'd love to see that. That's pretty cool. He has facts. But he has only trades basic support and resistance. You think that's possible? Yeah, it's possible to trade basic support and resistance. I do it all the time. Basic support and resistance makes it simpler. But turning 50K into 7 million is one of those headliney, catchy things that I see on TikTok and Twitter, and it's not beneficial. I find that that's more gimmicky than anything, and it really hurts traders, especially in your position, that are new, because you think that you should be turning 50K into 7 million. And realistically, we don't know if this person actually turned 50K into 7 million, or if they turned 500K into 7 million, or how they traded. If they gambled their way up, or they truly traded it, or now they're truly trading it. I don't know this person. I don't know their story. But that's that. So let me get back now to the chats in the tickers in the chat. So I appreciate you guys. Affirm. This is a stock that's this is a fun one. AFRM, not ARFM. Affirm Holdings. Let me get some more. I'm definitely going to lose my voice tomorrow, so do me a solid if you're watching this. Hit that like button. We're at 61 likes. I'm going to make the next goal 70 likes. If we can get there, let's do it. We're about an hour 18 into this stream. Stick with me. We're having fun. We're doing great. Hit that like button. Share this with people who want to be a part of this. If you guys want to see more of me, my YouTube channel is linked down below. You can subscribe to my YouTube down there. I do tons of economics videos that go up. They've been very accurate. We accurately predicted CPI before estimates were out. We accurately said that there was going to be a 25 basis point rate hike, and we've been doing a ton there. And if you want to join the trading team, you can. More than happy to have you. and we can, excuse me, oh my goodness gracious, we'll be more than happy to have you on the trading team. It's meant to be educational, and those folks who join, watch the videos, practice, ask questions, do very well. Again, the key is to ask questions. That's really, really, really important. That's really, really, really important. Jim says, does your team chart QQQ? I don't always chart it, but Jim, if you ask me if you're on the team and you ask me for QQQ, I will provide you with QQQ. Whatever my team asks, I will provide for them, because it says the point of the team is for me to help you. So if you think QQQ charting will help you, I'll provide you with QQQ chart, no problem. I used to chart QQQ and SPY, but then I found myself only charting SPY, and a lot of people were just looking at SPY, so we kind of sunset QQQ, but we just did SPY. We just do SPY, but I can, yeah, if you want QQQ, you're on the team, more than happy to just tag me and be like, hey, hit me up with because we have a channel just for charts. So there's a channel called Possible Chart Setups where I post the charts for all the watch list plays, and there's a channel for SPY where I post all the SPY charts every single night, and in the morning I post a new SPY chart, and I find myself loving that channel more than any other channel. So if you want the chart and you're on the team, more than happy to provide it for you, whatever you want. Let me do a firm real quick, then I'll come back to some of the questions, because I know who asked for a firm. Rage It. I hope you're still here, Rage It. I apologize if you're not, but buy now, pay later. As Beach Bum is saying, buy now, pay never. I don't like that, because it's debt based. I know for some people it's beneficial, it helps them, but I find that these debt based businesses don't really end up in a good spot. And holy cow, this thing has come down. I haven't looked at a firm's chart in a long time. The last time I saw a firm was when it was up here, like in the 90s. It was like in the 90s, and now it's down to the teens. Which are firms I put out a lot of discussion on Twitter, which I got a lot of flack for back in the day. Where I was like, I really don't like these buy now, pay later strategies. Excuse me again. But again, to each their own. I'm not going to judge anyone's investments. That's just my opinion. You do whatever you want. So looking at it, we can see that the firm is stuck under the 90 MA. Even when it tries to break out, it can't. On Friday, we closed. Did we close? No, we closed under the 90 MA still on. Oh, let me see. Hold on. Friday closed 11 cents above the 90 MA. You're going to need confirmation. But the big resistance level here has been around this 1092. $10.99, so around the $11 range has been resistance for a firm. If it could break 11, you could probably come and test the 50 exponential, and then maybe onwards and upwards if things kick in. We have to see what is the big news here. Tech stocks advance. So again, the tech sector has been getting some love, but a firm really hasn't been seeing that love. If we're talking tech sector getting love, a firm hasn't, because a firm might be falling into that financials basket, even though it's not a financial stock, but it's falling into that basket. Again, if you're ever curious as to where this stock is, the industry should be here, but it's not. It should be there. Again, a lot of these are opinion pieces. Read them. It's always good to have an idea of where both sides of the coin are for this situation. But taking a look at now the hourly chart, you guys are kind of getting into the mojo of how I operate now, kind of how my brain operates when looking at stocks and looking at charts. Okay, take a look at what I see here. Let's draw some trend lines. And again, these are freehand. They don't have to be perfect. It's not about being perfect. It's just about knowing where the stock is operating, going, and see, like right there, I don't like that trend line. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to do it again. There's nothing wrong with that. We can see here it's an asymmetrical triangle. Extend your trend lines a little bit. You might be like, why did you go so far out? I like extending my trend lines because in case the move continues, I will have... I'm definitely losing my voice tomorrow. Holy cannoli. Okay, that's not going to be fun. But we're going to do it. I appreciate the emoji, Rage It. I love that. That's cool. I had to go on the YouTube to see it. I saw on StreamYard it didn't convert, but I see it. I appreciate that. So look, we need to break above this trend line, which is probably very parallel to our $11 range, which really it is. We need to break above that $11 range, which is up here. Break above this. If you're looking for micro, quick scalp trades, you're going to need to break this trend line here, which is around this 1030. And then your next big level is going to be your 1047. Again, this is too tight for me. So let me take a step back for a second and truly assess this. Okay. My 200 is all the way up there. So again, what I'm doing is if you're watching my eyes, I'm looking back in time as well to see where the touch points are for resistance, big resistance points for this thing. And the more resistance points I see, the stronger that resistance level is. That's the level that I'm watching to break. For me, it's around this 1050. You take a look at this. This point, it had a false breakout, wasn't able to hold it, flushed. Here, it went above it for a little bit, but then came back down. Went above it for a little bit, then came back down. Yeah, you're correct. The learn chart is correct. You broke above the 50, but here's the thing. You don't have much support here. It's only 2 candles. That's not enough support for me to consider it strong support. Again, what we did was we went to the hourly. We were on the daily chart previously. Now we're in the hourly. So we're in a micro. We're in a micro view of it. We were in the macro. Now we're in the micro. We held the 50 for three candles, not 2, 3 candles. We held it for 3 candles. So if we want to see continuation, we're going to need to break above this 1050 range. Then we're going to go and test essentially around this 1080 to $11 range. This needs to break here to the upside, and if we can break above that, we probably have more of a path to the upside, getting closer to this 200 simple moving average on the hourly chart. But the big thing is going to be here is on the daily chart is you're going to need to hold and break and hold above that 9 exponential moving average, get above that 1050 and make your way upwards. If you reject these, you'll probably come and test support here on 966. If that goes, you're probably going to come and test support here on the 930 range. So you're going to want to watch those both sides, because I like to look at both sides of the trade, both sides of the equation. That's kind of how I personally like to operate with this whole situation here. So that is a firm. What do we got? 200 moving probably will continue to be resistance even if it can get up there. I agree with you. The 200 is a very, very strong SOB. And if you take a look back again, it's really important to scroll back, see what happened in the past. The 200 gave us a small little false breakout, but even then it couldn't hold. The 200 has been very strong resistance ever since the massive gap down on earnings that happened for this guy 2 earnings cycles ago back in February of 2023. So it hasn't been kind ever since the last earnings to it, the 200 moving average on the hourly. Okay, what do we got next? We did a firm. Let's do DraftKings. DKNG. I know this is one of the big ones that people like to do when it comes to sports betting and stuff like that. People love DraftKings. If you're doing your taxes, don't forget to pay your taxes on your sports winnings. You're going to get in trouble if you don't. Just pay your taxes. Things can get really, really weird. Rage, you're more than welcome. If you guys ever have any follow-up questions on the charts, you're more than welcome to ask as well. DraftKings daily chart. Ooh, take a look at this. Look at this. Trend line. There we go. And there we go. So we have this pairing going on here, which is funny because our trend line, we're on the daily chart, by the way. If you're ever confused as to where we are, if you look at this top right corner, it's a D, that means daily. If we have the 1H, that means hourly. Excuse me. All right. So in order for us to break upwards and make a move up, we're going to need to break this 9 EMA first. And then upon breaking the 9 EMA, then we can probably make our move up to test this trend line around the 1860, 1870 range, right? And go upward. D-Dog, I see your question. I will get to your question, I promise. Just give me 2 seconds. To break above this trend line to make the move upwards, and keep going higher. If we lose the 50 exponential moving average here on the daily chart, which has been forming support and very parallel to our trend line we see here, we could probably come and test the lower end bound range around the $16 range. We're between the $16.70 and $16 range. We can see there's a bit of support that's formed here. In the past, we have some support here as well that's formed. So we want to watch that very closely. That's going to be key for DraftKings. Looking at it on the hourly chart, boom, 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 boom. On the hourly chart, very similar situation. Again, the hourly chart's obviously like an extended version of it. You're going to need to break above the 50 EMA, which is very parallel to that resistance level we discussed, to make the move up to the trend line. Trend line's parallel with, who would have thunk it? Let me change the color of this guy to yellow, because that's the way I have it on my charts. Is the yellow on the 200 moving average. You're going to have to break that in order to make the move up. That's going to be key, and that's going to be pain because you had some false breakouts. It wasn't able to hold. You're going to need to break that in order to make a move up. Okay? So that's that there. All right, so we discussed DKNG. That was Jim's stock. Next up is SoFi. So let's take a look at SoFi next. SoFi. Okay, so I forgot to say this. Full disclosure, I have a position in NVIDIA, I have a position in AMD, and I have a position in SoFi. These are common shares that I'm holding long term. If we talk about a stock that I own a position, I will disclose it to you for transparency reasons. SoFi, I have a position in as well. So again, just for transparency reasons, that's why I'm letting you guys know. But again, every discussion that I give you is going to be unbiased because there's no reason for, like, you trading it isn't going to do much for me personally. So let's take a look at it. So SoFi has been operating and being affected and hit hard with the banking situations, right? Because SoFi is technically a bank now because they got their bank charter, right? So that means we got to bring it down with the bank. It's consumer finance. SoFi leading in a crisis. Okay. So no real news. So essentially it's that whole banking situation. So in order for SoFi to make the move up, you're going to really need the banking situation to kind of cool off. Long story short. When the banks start reversing, SoFi will start reversing with it to the upside. If SoFi loses the 9 and the 50 EMA, it's going to move to the downside. Now, this is a penny stock. A little bit above a penny stock. But it's technically a penny stock. I'm not really crazy about trading options on a penny stock. I do include them sometimes in our watch lists because folks like to ask for stocks that have lower premium options trades, and I look for higher volume stocks that are in the more affordable premium range to share those so that they can use those as examples for learning if they want to do that or not. SoFi is one that can be tricky from time to time for trading. It's better as a swing trade than a scalp trade because it doesn't move too much throughout the day. You can look here on the daily chart. It moved a penny, 22 cents, 4 cents, 35 cents. It doesn't really move much intraday, right? It's very small moves. But you're going to want it. So if I turn my drawings off for a second, you're going to want this thing. I'm seeing there's like a little fruit fly. There's like these little tiny mosquito. Like I have my window open and I have these lights on, which means it's dark outside. So it means they're all going to come in, which kind of sucks because I forgot to close it, but I'll take care of it after. But so I'm dealing with those guys parallel. So if you see my eyes zooming around, it's like, oh crap, more of them are in here. And I hate that because I hate bugs. But in order for SoFi to make the move up, you're really going to need to break above this 200 moving and then the 50 EMA on the daily chart to make the move up. It's really around the $6. You need to regain the $6 level. If this wants to make a move lower, it needs to lose the 9 EMA, essentially around this 550 range. And then it'll probably come and retest the $5.25 to $5 range again if that happens. So that's SoFi. Long story short, it's moving with the banking stocks. It hasn't been hit as hard as the others have because technically it's not really a bank. It can be used for banking, but it has a bank charter, so it moves and operates that way. But that's the story there for SoFi. Also, if you're watching, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. If you guys want, you can follow my YouTube channel down below. I do economics videos. I do educational videos on there as well. I'd be more than happy to have you there on my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe there. It's linked down below. My Twitter's linked down below. And our trading team, where I teach folks how to do all this stuff that I'm doing here. You see how fast I'm doing it? This didn't happen overnight. It took years of practice, and I've been able to turn those years of practice into tools and that people like you can use to learn from it. And I'll be available to you as a resource to answer any questions on the fly. We've been going for an hour and a half, so I do want to soon wind this down. So, Gina, I've been on Money. I've been with Money Mitch. I think I was with Money Mitch last week. We were discussing some stocks last week in the after hour before close around 3:00. So Mitch is the one who helped me set this whole thing up. So shout out to him. My pleasure, Milky. I will do my best to keep working through this. I want to keep pushing through. I want to get to more of these tickers. So we did SoFi. Enphase is next. Josh, are you still here, Josh? If Josh is still here, we'll do Enphase. If not, we'll go to the next one. Josh, are you here? Josh asked for shop. Excuse me. Roman asked for Enphase. Are you guys here? If you guys are here, let me know in the chat, and we'll do your stock. If not, I'll go to the next one. Well, I'm waiting for those guys to answer. Let me take a look at G-Dog. So G-Dog says, would you buy a call for SPY to reach over 401 this week? Okay, let's take a look at SPY again. So we discussed SPY early in the stream. In the beginning of the stream, we discussed SPY. So if you want to rewind, you can take a look at the SPY analysis there in the beginning. But right now we're at 390. We closed at what? 395.75. Roman's here, so we're going to do your stock next. Roman Enphase, we'll do that next. But in order for us to make a big move up to 401, you're going to need to break this 50 moving average on the daily chart, which is at 366, 396.88. And then we're going to need to break 399 and 400 to make the move to 401. So you've got a few uphill battles to be able to make to 401. The downside is if you lose the 200 MA, you'll probably move again back to the downside and retest the lower ends and the lower bounds. If you talk to anyone ever and they tell you without a doubt, shadow of a doubt, they know that the stock's going to go up, without a shadow of a doubt that the stock's going to come down, they're lying to you. You need to plan for both ends of the trade. And if your plan is to just trade the upside, you take the upside wing once the upside wing presents itself. Or vice versa, you trade the downside if the downside wing presents itself, right? And for the 401 to become viable, first thing that really needs to happen, your big level that needs to break is this 200 moving on the hourly. And then you can probably come and test the 401, 402 range. This is from FOMC day. That's the last time we were up here, was the pump while Powell was talking. But until that happens, you're not going to really get the move that you're looking for, which is up there. No one should, and you should never listen to anyone who blindly tells you, okay, go and buy this stock because it made the move upwards. No, that's just, honestly, that's just really bad. That's really, really bad. But that's what I'm seeing here. Is I'm telling you what I see for both sides. You lose the 950 MA, you have more room to the down. You break above the 200 MA, you have more room to the upside for SPY. That's what I'm seeing there for SPY. So let's go to Roman's stock. Roman's request was Enphase. So let's go to Enphase. By the way, if you're still with us, we're an hour and a half into this puppy. We're 3 away from the goal of 70 likes. Oh, I thought I ran out of water for a second. That would have been the end of the stream. That was the last of my water. We're probably going to have to wind down after 1 or 2 more tickers, so stay with me. Again, if you want, you can join the trading team. Over there, you can ask for any chart you want, and I'll do it right on the fly for you. And I'll be more than happy to provide it to you. Link is down below, discord.ryanstocks.com. If you want to follow me on Twitter to be aware of these weekly streams, it's also down in the link below. Also, my YouTube channel is available where I do videos on economic events that are happening. After this, probably not tonight, but tomorrow, I'm going to record a video on the PCE and GDP data coming out and how the markets could react based off of that. So that's going to be on my YouTube channel, so make sure to subscribe there as well. There's some really weird message that's popping up that says hide current comment. Why would I want to do that? Sorry about that. You see how fast these streams fly? I know, like, Milky's been here with us this whole time. Gene's been here this whole time. Beach Bum's been here this whole time. Like, you guys, like, you see, like, That's why I love these streams and why I wanted to do these streams again is because we've been here for almost like an hour 45 now, and it feels like we've only been here for like 10, 15 minutes. Like I'm not even really tired. If it wasn't for my voice, we could go for like 3 hours. But we can see here, so looking at end phase, we'll take a look at the hourly. We'll look at the daily, then we'll come back to the hourly. So we can see here that you're really stuck under. So end phase is that solar stock, the solar panel stock. It's been in a really big decline. Earnings beat, but then like the day after earnings, it popped and then it sold off significantly. I'm not sure what happened. Let me just do the thing that I've been doing for all the stocks, is checking to see if there's any news about them or anything we should be aware of. Enphase Energy raised its Susquehanna after a big drop since the summer. I'm not sure what that is. Negam, I know you would have loved a 3-hour stream. No news on Enphase that I can see, at least. Real quick reminder of the events that are happening this week. If you're not aware of them, they're there. You can always rewind the stream in the beginning where we discuss these events. But taking a look at Enphase, we can see here it's in a very strong downtrend. Very strong downtrend. And even when it tries to break this downtrend, it gets rejected fairly quickly. The 9 EMA, it's been battling up and down against the 9 EMA. It's been very indecisive with the 9 EMA. So I need to go to the hourly chart to get a better view as to what's going on in the micro. In the micro, we're stuck under all of the MAs and the EMAs. And it has not been fun. Hasn't been fun for Enphase. And excuse me. Vincent, I'll check out Baba. Just give me 2 seconds to finish this one. So we've got some support forming here, but it's very light. I don't really like this support forming here. I know I've got some action here on the 190 range. Has some support down here. It built some support here on the 192. 192.70 range. Again, we're eyeballing this one. We're going really back in time, right? We're going back to 2022, July to look at this, but let's not go too crazy since we're doing a quick analysis. Okay. For Enphase to make its first leg to the upside, it needs to break this 9 exponential moving average. I appreciate you guys who are here. Gene, Milky, I appreciate you guys. First time but not the last. Means a lot. HK50, the Hong Kong is flushing. Any news that came out of that, Eamon? Any reason why the Hong Kong is flushing? Chinese market is being hit hard now. Any reason behind it? Any news? Or is it just a mini thing? No idea. Okay. We'll take a look in a second. So you're going to need to break this 9 EMA first. Roman, if you want for Enphase to make the move up, you're going to need to break the 9 EMA first. Your next big battle is going to be around, if you look here, you have some resistance around here, around this 198 to $200 range, this $2 range. Enphase is a lower float stock, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 103 million float. It'll move very quickly on low volume, so you have that resistance there. If that breaks, you'll probably have a path to come and retest this 50 EMA around 202. If that breaks, then you have a move upwards to this 205, 206 range there. But if you lose this trend line, you can come down and retest 192. You lose 192, you'll come and retest 190. You lose 190, you have a path down to this 186, 187 range and possibly even lower. Because in order to look at the supports, you're going to have to go really, really far back into the past. Give me 1 second to blow my nose. 1 second. Sorry about that. Yeah, you can see here this 190 range has been support, and then you'll probably come and retest this 185, 186 range that we were discussing a little bit earlier. So that's your downside movement there. So that's end phase in a quick nutshell. But one thing that I have found is that end phases contracts are quite expensive if you're trading them, and looking at them now, just quick glancing them, they do not have much liquidity on the calls and the put side yet. So be very careful when trading them. There's a wide spread on them. There's about a 30-cent spread on the call side, on the put side, excuse me, and there's about another 25 to 30-cent spread depending on the chain on the call side. So those spreads are very, very, very wide. So that can get ugly. So be careful because there's no liquidity there. I'm gonna lose my voice. I'm gonna definitely lose my voice. Vincent, I teach all this in the Discord. The link's down below. It's available to you. You can join. All the courses are available to you. Depending on any tier you join, they'll be available to you. Where I teach all this stuff. It's meant to be very quick. They're in really, there's a ton of videos, but they're in 5-minute bursts because I know that those hour-long videos are annoying. No one likes to sit there for an hour and watch. You don't really retain or learn anything. So I've broken down every topic into like a 5 to 7 minute video. And every topic is accompanied with a 1-hour live stream that I've done where I go deeper into the topic, which I call the live lectures. And those are still active. We do those all the time. We did 2 live lectures actually for FOMC, going into FOMC, pre-FOMC and post-FOMC. I did them on my YouTube channel because I couldn't get my Zoom working. But those are meant to be private, but they were public on my YouTube channel. But the courses are all available at the Discord. The link is down below in the description, discord.ryanstocks.com. I'll put the link in the chat right now as well if you'd like to join. It's very affordable. It provides a ton of value to you. If you'd like to join, you're more than welcome to. But that's available to you there as well. So how do I post a comment? I have to go here, right? There we go. So I think this should come through now. There you go. So that's the link if you want to join the Trading Academy, right? It's a trading team with the goal of you learning. It's not meant to be an alert farm for you to copy trades. That's not how I operate. Okay, we did it. We discussed end phase. We had 2 more, and then I'm going to call it a night. Josh wasn't here. Josh never replied. Anomalous Howard, are you here for on? If you're here, let me know, and I will do your ticker. If not, I'll go to the person who was asking for Baba because I know he's here. Vincent's here. Really, I'm just giving a second. I'm chasing flies now. This is crazy. Okay. We're 1 like away from 75. It's funny watching myself trying to grab these flies. That's my mistake for leaving the window open and all these lights on. That was not smart of me. And I've got like 4 trees outside, so they all just whoosh, fly right in. And it is really stupid of me. So Vincent, let's do Baba because I'm not sure if the other person... Oh, you're here. Anomalous is here. Okay, so let me just do it. Anomalous asked first. Let me do Anomalous first, and then we'll go to yours. So Anomalous, I'm going to do one of your 2 just because I'm running out of voice. So would you like on or would you like ETNB? Which one would you like me to do? Let me know. And Vincent, I know you want Baba. That'll be the final one that we'll do for tonight. But folks, remember, I'm going to be doing this weekly. If you want to be aware of this, follow my Twitter. The link is down below in the description. If you want to join the trading team, you can. There's nightly watch lists that go out. The bot is available every single day. I post my SPY plan every single night, and then I update it again in the morning with exactly my trading plan. You shouldn't be copying it. You should be using it to learn from it. It's meant to be a trading tool to help you learn. It's all meant for education purposes only. It's not meant to be a copy-paste trading team. Courses are available there to help you learn to become better at this stuff. If you'd like to join, all the links are down below. The one for the team is discord.ryanstocks.com. You can join us there. I'll be more than happy to have you. There's a lot of our members are here. I know Negim is here. He's one of our members. Tassos was here. He's one of our members. So we have a lot of fun in there, and we trade together, and we discuss, and we bounce ideas back and forth. And it's a really, really good educational team there. Anomalous, I'm waiting on you. Do me a solid. Let me know. Or which one do you want? Do you want on or do you want ETNB? You know what I'll do while you're deciding? I'll do Baba, and then I'll come back to your decision. If you see me looking around, really. Oh, hold on. The new comments are loading. On. Okay, similar. Okay, sure. Let's do on. I see. The comments weren't loading for some reason. On. I don't remember on holding, so let me familiarize myself really quickly. Um, Sports apparel. Okay. Sports apparel out of Switzerland. ONIN or ONON? ONIN. I don't see ONIN. I see ONON. ON Semiconductor or Anomalous. I'm really confused because ONIN doesn't exist. ON does exist. So I'm assuming it's ONON. So let's just do ONON. ONON. Okay, perfect. So this guy had a big jump on earnings, I see. So they beat on earnings by 24% for EPS. That's very good. But they also reported and beat on revenue, up over almost 100 million. So let's take a look at the daily chart. Really big move up here, but this is a recent IPO from earlier 2021. Recent IPO. Again, not too recent, but still, very big move up. Again, this is all following their earnings, and the question is, can the momentum hold? Is through these movements? So we need to kind of take a step back because again, this is a widespread. So let me take fibs across the whole thing. Fibs are not going to really help me here because we're out of bound. We're above the bound. So again, it's battling this $30 range, this $31 range. Excuse me, 30.86 to 32 is where it's really battling to kind of make its way move, to make its move up here to kind of jump up. And we can see here that in the past, this $32 range, $31.29, $32 range, $31.40, $31.30, it's between 31 and 32. Let's put it that way. Is resistance for this puppy, and it's been ripping. It's been ripping on good earnings. So it's not like ripping for no reason. It's ripping on good earnings, which is good. You want moving on a good earnings or moving on a reason is okay. I don't mind that. It's a matter of can it hold the momentum, and we can see here the momentum was highly tested here the day after, but it held. Buyers stepped in and it went up. This is probably a very low float stock. No, it's not actually. Lowish, but not low. Good. Okay. Board continues. Stock is called $10 billion stock by Credit Suisse. We can't take Credit Suisse's opinions into account here. Again, I'm just joking, but we've seen what happened to Credit Suisse. I want to see if they gave any forward projections. So you have some price targets coming in for 33, which you're not too far off from 33 for a quick day trade for 1 or 2 days. Okay, so if we're doing quick day trade, I go to the hourly chart. So let me quickly mark this point here, which is our high point, this $31, $32 range. We're about to hit that 2-hour point, folks. This is crazy. 75 likes. Hit that like button. Let's see if we can get to 80. We're so close. If you're watching and you haven't liked yet, what are you doing? What are you doing? So let's go to the arrow. So we can see here, look, if you're looking for the quick day trade, right, for the move down, it's clear as day. Not clear as day. That's not correct to say, but for the move down, you're going to need to lose this 9 EMA if you want to catch the move to the downside. 9 EMA has to go, and it can make the move downwards to 29.37 and then possibly come down to 27.59, 26.80 and test this 50 moving average, right? That's for the downside. For the upside, we need to clearly, as we've been discussing it extensively, you're going to need to break this 31.92 level, and then in order to break that, you're going to want to come down, and next you're going to be testing, you're going to be looking at this range, right? Which is going to put you on the path to test 32.44, the $33 range is your next really big path move around here is this $33 range is your next stepping stone. If you can break above this 32, your next path is 33 and then 34 and upwards. But you have to keep in mind is you've made a massive, massive move. This is a stock that was trading much lower, right? It was trading in the $21 range. At any point, people decide to take profits on this. The downward move will possibly play out much quicker. The upward move has been tested once. If it could break out again, it could make the move up. It's a lowish float stock, but it needs the move. Remember, at the end of the day, this is a clothing company, so we'll have to see how this all plays out. The divergence between the price and volume is screaming go long puts on that ticker. Yeah. Volume isn't too bad on it, though. Take a look at this. Let's take a look at the really quickly. Volume has been steady stack. It's a little bit lower. You drop your back, but you're still higher than what the normal range was. But you can see here that volume throughout the day does steadily die off, but that's normal. Usually get picked up into the power hour. Prior to that, yeah, it was within a good move, within a good setting. It was really following a lot of the rules, but here it looks like after earnings, it kind of broke out and became more of a momentum play than anything. Vincent says, do you have high volatile stocks for day trading also? I'm not sure what you mean by high volatility. Do you mean like quick pump? Again, we trade stocks. Like, I'm not looking for. Or you mean like quick get? Like what we like to do that what becomes high volatility is we like to sometimes we play out trades after earnings. So after earnings comes out, the fallout of the earnings is what I'll include on the watch list as for examples, and people can use that if they want to. So that's included there if that's what you mean by high volatile stocks. But like I'm not looking for short squeeze moves like that because like those are very hard to predict and as we've seen rarely ever play out. Okay, I promised Vincent that we would do BABA. So let's do BABA. And again, someone earlier had said that the Chinese markets are selling off. BABA is a Chinese stock. And BABA is one that's a pain in the neck from time to time because it gaps up, gaps down. Look at all these gaps that are within BABA. It's like a bad set of teeth. But we can see here BABA is trying to establish a 90 MA support. It's having some trouble here at the $88 range. If it can break above this 88 range, she can make a move upwards, possibly. But again, if the Chinese markets are selling off, BABA will probably have a tough day tomorrow as well. The biggest move that you need for this to make it to break out of its massive descending movement here, which you can see right here, BABA's melted down. It's sort of testing to break out. Excuse me again. Thing that worries me is this forming a bear flag, where it's kind of forming the flagpole, forming an ascending rising wedge, and then looking for the second wave to the downside. You can see here you've got a rising wedge forming here on BABA, and this is the daily chart. So I like patterns more on the daily chart and the hourly chart. I don't like patterns on smaller time frames because they rarely play out. They'll play out for like 1 to 2 candles. That's it. But if it loses the 90 MA, it'll probably make a move to the downside. If you can break 88 to the upside, you can break above this. You can probably see a test of the 92 range. If it breaks above that, you'll make a move higher. But you're going to need for the Chinese markets to move there. BABA trades like Lee. The reason you're seeing BABA trade like Lee is one of the EV automotives that moves very closely with XPEV and NIO, is because all Chinese stocks in the tech sector tend to move together. It's really weird because we don't have that here. There's days where Microsoft is down and Apple is up, or vice versa. Especially if it's on news or something like that, that makes sense. But like a lot of the Chinese stocks tend to move together. If we take a look at Lee, like you're mentioning, very similar rising wedge here. It's a little bit fatter, but this one's actually kind of breaking down. It's breaking down to the wedge. You see this? It closed below the line here, and it can make its move down. But I personally don't like trading the Chinese names because they're a lot harder because I have to keep my eye on the Chinese markets, and the Chinese markets are much more difficult to keep an eye on. You have to watch them overnight, and I rather just trade. There's plenty of opportunities in the American markets for me to trade rather than looking at the Chinese markets because you have to take into their macroeconomic events and all the stuff that happens there, which is really honestly a pain in the neck. So, folks, I had a lot of fun. This was my first time back. I hope this was able to provide you with some help and some value. If you haven't already, do me a solid, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I will be back next Sunday, same exact time, same exact place. If you want to keep up on tabs with me, you can follow me on Twitter. Link is down below. If you want to see all my links, they're at ryanstocks.com. I'll put it in the chat right now. Ryan Stocks, just like the stock market, ryanstocks.com. If you want to join our trading team, you can. The brand new watch list for tomorrow is up. The SPY levels for tomorrow are posted. And then tomorrow morning, I will be posting my trading plan for SPY. When I see the pre-market movements, that'll be posted there, along with a ton of educational material that's also available to you, with the goal of turning you into a trader. It's not meant to be a copy-paste based trading place. My goal is to help you learn how to trade. That's kind of how I operate within that trading group. It's not meant to be copy-paste trading. It's meant to help you become a self-sufficient trader and answer any questions you have. Just like we did here, you can always do that there. Hey, do me a solid. What do you think of Baba? What do you think of Lee? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And I also want to say a quick thank you to all of you who were here. This is my first time back. It means a lot. Everyone, shout out to you. Anomalous, Milky, Negum, Anomalous, all of you that were here. Gene, if you're still here. Vincent, shout out to all of you guys who were with us here. Robin, Beach Bum, thank you guys so much for being here. Rage It, I appreciate you all for coming and supporting and watching and smashing the like button. We're 3 away from 80 likes. Can we get there? Just 3 little tiny likes. If not, no big deal. I appreciate you all so much for watching. Thank you as always. We just hit the 2-hour mark, so I'm going to call it a night. I like to end my videos by saying buy the fear, sell the FOMO. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. I want to reiterate that the whole point of this stream was to be for educational purposes only, to help you out, to provide you with a resource, being myself. And if you want more of me, you can join our trading Discord, and I will be able to provide you with more help there as well. This is recorded. You can go back and watch it, and hopefully it will help you out. And if you have any questions in the meantime, hit me up in the Discord. More than happy to help, and keep up with me on Twitter. See you guys very soon in 7 days. And I'll have a new video on my YouTube channel later this week, so make sure you're subscribed there as well. All the links are down below. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.